Welcome to this edition of Silver Sneakers Boom Muscle. If you've seen my last few videos, you know that I've set a goal for myself to participate in the Senior Olympics this coming summer in powerlifting, but I've long held a goal of participating in a multiple Senior Olympics events along the lines of being a full, well-conditioned athlete. So something like a pentathlon, which involves something for power, speed, agility, and jumping. So I haven't decided what events I'm going to pick. I've often thrown shot put and discus, and those are power and athletic events. But I haven't done any running so far this year. And I think there is a point in being a good runner, although I have found for myself that long distance running is sort of counterproductive on my joints, and maybe something like long distance walking, power walking, or shorter distance like a 100-yard or 400-yard run might be reasonable. So I'm going to start adding exercises in my weekly routine to supplement the power moves. Well, the bench press, squat, and deadlift are full body moves that, particularly as you start pushing the weights up high, do require that you contract every muscle in your body, and it's very important for a very strong core. They lack some other agility type activities. So we'll be working on all of those. I've developed a partial lift of what you might call accessory activities designed to improve the deadlift, the bench press, and the squat, and then some general conditioning. And we'll go through some of these in this and my subsequent videos. So you've seen in my previous videos, I like to start with some general warm-up, get some launching, working on balance, mobility, flexibility. Let's hold the knee up, and we can start doing some arm circles. It's always okay to touch down if you lose your balance. Other knee. And you can elevate your arms up to horizontal. Just nice, gentle. Go back to that first leg. And let's reverse with our palms up. And the other knee up. Now moving on to some front twists. You can let your head go with your trunk, but if this makes you dizzy, you can just look straight ahead. Putting your feet about shoulder width apart, arms crossed in front, just some partial squats, just to get those muscles warmed up. In Silver Sneakers Boom Muscle, this can be a fairly high intensity exercise program. So you want to follow your levels of perceived exertion. 7, 8, and 9 are acceptable. You can always take extra long breaks, get your breathing and heart rate to a comfortable level. Okay. Shake it out. You want to have a source of water close by and a towel to wipe off any sweat. To warm up the chest, I'm going to start with incline push-up. I like to do it on this platform. Allows me to keep my wrist neutral. You can always, if you have the flexibility, put your palm flat. I like to go off to the side. Nice and slow. I find it best to inhale as I'm lowering my body and exhale forcefully, coming up. You can always modify this by just holding it as a plank. Also increasing the level of breathing as a modification. Next, we're going to move to box squat. Got my platform here or a chair where if I sit, my thighs are pretty much parallel to the floor. Just starting with my arms crossed. If you need to, you can always have your hands on your knees, give yourself a little push coming up. The progression is no push. And the further progression is to just touch, but not take the tension out of your legs. You want to make sure your core is engaged. And you push hard into the floor to get your body moving upwards. So I'm going to grab a kettlebell to do some kettlebell swings. You can always use a dumbbell for this, where you hold it on one end and swing that way. I like the kettlebell particularly with a smooth handle to minimize getting blisters. And you hitch it back between your legs and then forward. Okay. Progression for the kettlebell swing is to swing a heavier weight or take a step between each swing, and we'll demonstrate that in the next round. For an action interval, I'm going to do my kettlebell swing and take a step with the swing on each top of the swing. Plan to do 10 down and 10 back. So after that action interval, take a little break, get a drink of water, check your perceived exertion, and then I'm going to move on doing a rotation exercise, setting up a band. This one has this nice handle, but you can just do it with a regular band as well. Grab this about waist high and rotate. You want to feel the muscles on the opposite side working. And we switch to the other side. Well, both those sides were sort of a pushing movement. Now we'll do a pull-in rotation. And switching sides. Another exercise considering the core would call anti-rotation, meaning you put a weight out to the side or some sort of stressor and keep your body from rotating that direction. Requires, again, a tremendous amount of core stabilization. So I'd like to do this with one dumbbell, fairly heavy one for me, and even with my feet elevated in the air. So let's see how this goes. And so you can either just hold the dumbbell up or do a one-arm shoulder press. And we're going to switch arms. Modification is to do this flat on the floor so your feet are helping your brace. I wouldn't do too heavy a weight or put it too far out to the side because that runs the risk of tipping you over. We want to avoid doing that. But you do want to feel that your core is fully engaged in such an activity. Taking the same dumbbell, going to move on to a one-arm row. You can lean against something or just hold your posture. And as I said, see here, you might have a tendency to want to roll down or coming up, roll that way. But try and maintain your shoulders parallel to the floor, getting more of that anti-rotation activation of your core. Switching sides. As I said previously, I haven't done any running this year, so I'm going to start today, and with this action interval. Ball is a soft one. I'm lucky in this room. I have walls, obstacles. So I'm going to kick this ball around like a soccer ball for a bit of time, maybe a minute or so, and see how I do. I'm going to take a break. If you recall from early in this video, I showed a list of additional exercises that you could consider accessory, supplemental, or general conditioning exercises. The way I would approach that is from each category, pick one or two of the exercises, but changing them up every workout. And aiming for 10 or so repetitions, 2 sets. The idea behind that is to strengthen and exercise some of the stabilization muscles and core muscles that are involved in these 3 big lifts. Glute bridge is a good exercise for strengthening the posterior legs, the gluteal muscles, and the core. You can do this laying on the floor. That has a tendency to, as you lift your back up, put your head below your heart, which we try and avoid in silver sneakers. So I like to do this on a platform. You could do this on a couch or even on the side of the bed. You can use a dumbbell or something for weight if you want additional weight. Do this, you get your bottom off of the platform, supporting in your middle back, and just lifting your hips up off the floor to horizontal. You don't have to go completely down. The most important range is that last few inches. Grabbing a weight to increase the resistance. Then scooching yourself back up to get up in upright position. The rear deltoid is the muscle behind the shoulder, which has a tendency to get neglected in many exercises. One I like to do to help strengthen that is a face pull, which is a version, again, of many of the pulling exercises, but does a significant amount of concentration on the rear delt. So I'm using the TRX. And I'll lean back. And I'll pull the handles towards the middle or upper part of my face. You want to contract your shoulder blades, bring them together, and hold that for a couple seconds. An exercise to focus on the triceps can be a kickback with a dumbbell. You want to hinge at the waist, bring your elbow up parallel to your trunk, and extend your arm. Again, contracting, squeezing the muscle at the top. And switching sides. Compound exercises when you follow one exercise with another one, working the same muscle group. So I'm going to grab a second dumbbell. I'm going to put my palms facing my body, then again extend my arms and just pump up. This one is hitting both the tricep and the rear delt. Again, remembering to bring your shoulder blades down and together. Remember to breathe. You can repeat all of these exercises for a second set. And for brevity, I'm just going through a single set. From here, we can go straight into a bicep curl. I like to alternate. If you do them simultaneously, you're going to need to brace your core a little more. So either one is fine. I would consider this a progression from the alternating. And to compound this, we can face our palms together as a hammer curl, hitting a different part of the biceps and the forearm muscles. Check your exertion, get a drink of water, and come right back. For our final action interval, I'm going to do a hurried wader carry. So this is basically taking a light weight, a kettlebell or a dumbbell, and holding it straight overhead, and then shuffling as quick as you can, but without running, such as a waiter carrying a tray might be trying to get that to his tables as quickly as possible. So we'll do this for maybe about a minute or so. I'm going to alternate arms on every round. So you should finish this workout doing some mobility work and stretching. And on the days you don't do strengthening exercise, you can do some light zone 2 cardio like brisk walking or an easy bicycle ride. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope to see you later.